was wonderful to hear from you and to be able to see the information firsthand. We're getting some virtual applause for your presentation, Professor Jenkins. And one of the questions I see here, from one of the audience members is, can you talk about the link between social and environmental justice, and what are some ways we can address how climate change affects different groups inequitably?
The link is clear. In the United States, like if you were a Native American, you don't live where you originally lived. Like you live on a reservation and you are now trapped inside of that zone. That is how social inequity plays out for climate change. If you were a person from Africa, you are now displaced to an island or in the United States or Brazil. And if you're on an island state like Barbados, you have nowhere to evacuate as hurricanes get more and more powerful, or Puerto Rico. That's easy. And you're in the United States, it's very clear that policies like redlining put Black people in the poorest areas so they could flood easily. And in many cases, if you look today, they are often the warmest places. They don't have trees, they are asphalt. And so when we have heat waves, we see this play out in terms of fatalities. And that's the reality of it. And finally, the inequity that came about from these kinds of events where people don't have resources to deal with climate change. That one hurts the most. And it's very similar to the pandemic, where in many cases, people don't have the resources to stop working, and they go into very somewhat dangerous environments, and then they're subject to dealing with COVID, say loss of income, etc. These things are all part of where we live at, and they have to be addressed. Climate change really is going to do a bad deal. It's going to be like COVID in the long run, leaving communities behind. That's, again, a long answer.
Well, I think that is needed. So, yes, so there was a wonderful response. And so we will come back and talk to you more about all of the audience questions. We wanted to just let you know that people are really thinking about what you're saying. And so we'll come back. And now I want to present Crystal Chissell, and she will be coming to us, and she will give us a presentation, and then we'll be able to ask questions from her as well. And so I'm just delighted that she's coming. And one of the questions that we had for Crystal Chissell, I'll just let the audience take a look at the question that we had for her, and then she'll give us a presentation. Okay, so I'll just bring it up here for you to take a look at. Okay, so this is the question that we have for Crystal Chissell. Reviewing the past, present, and hopeful future developments, what is your understanding on how to communicate the need to reverse global warming and address climate justice simultaneously? So, and then she'll give us her presentation as well. Another question, and I think she'll probably cover these things in her presentation, but we just wanted her to know some of the things that we wanted to find out about. And more questions here. what climate and social justice targets or goals have we already met? And what climate and social justice targets or goals can we reasonably expect to meet by 2025, 2030, 2040, 2050, and beyond? So that's a lot to cover, but so we'll let her talk about all this overall information, and we'll just start now with Crystal Chissell.
Okay, thank you so much, Pamela, for inviting me to be on the panel today. And also, thanks to everyone who has tuned in on a Saturday to join us. So I'm going to share my presentation because I think it will cover some of the questions.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and do that. And I'll talk about Project Drawdown and Project Drawdown's work. And so we've heard a lot of really good information today about the problem of climate change, what's causing it, what are the effects. And so as Dr. Jenkins mentioned, there have been thousands of scientists working on this for decades to identify the problem, define the problem, and they've done a fantastic job of identifying climate change, the human input to causing climate change. So the purpose of Project Drawdown really is to focus on what do we do about this problem? What are the solutions? So now what is drawdown? Drawdown is the point in time where greenhouse gases in the Earth's atmosphere begin to steadily go down each year. And Project Drawdown is also naming this as a goal for the world, that we reach the moment of drawdown. So on this slide, you can see the levels of greenhouse gases have been rising. And we want to work toward drawdown so that these levels can begin to decrease. So now, where are these concentrations of greenhouse gases coming from? So the greenhouse gases are accumulating in the atmosphere, trapping heat and causing global warming and climate change. So now this gray box on the slide represents the atmosphere. And these bands on the left side of the slide represent all of the types of human activity that send greenhouse gases up into the atmosphere. And these greenhouse gases, there are several of them. So the most prevalent, so the largest amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere is carbon dioxide. But there are others that have smaller concentrations, but they have a much more powerful warming effect. And some of those are methane, nitrous oxide, and the refrigerant gases that we use in our refrigerators and air conditioners. Now, about 25% of our electricity, about 25% of the total greenhouse gases in the atmosphere are caused by our electricity production. So what humans are doing to produce electricity, and it's primarily from burning fossil fuels like oil, gas, and coal. But an equal amount of the greenhouse gases come from our food, agriculture, and land use. How we grow our food, the ways that we do agriculture, and the ways that we use land. Other greenhouse gases come from industry, from our transportation, from buildings, and other sources that are related to how we create energy. So almost all of modern human life produces greenhouse gas emissions. Now, some of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is removed by nature through biological and chemical processes that scientists call sinks. And this is, you'll see these two bands on the right hand of the slide represent the sinks. about 24% of the carbon dioxide is removed by plants through photosynthesis. And that carbon is stored in the plants, in trees, and in soil. And then another 17% of the greenhouse gases are absorbed by our oceans. And that's through chemical reactions in the ocean water and photosynthesis by algae and phytoplankton that live in the oceans. Now, currently, the majority of greenhouse gases, about 59%, remain in the atmosphere. Climate solutions are technologies and practices that reduce the emissions that are going up to the atmosphere, shown on the left side of this slide. And climate solutions are also practices that support the natural climate sinks that are shown on the right hand of the slide. So there are climate solutions in every one of these sectors that produce the current sources of emissions. We have solutions that address electricity production, that can decrease our use of electricity, can shift our production away from fossil fuels to renewable energy, and can make our electric grid more efficient. And then there are solutions in the food, agriculture, and land use category, solutions that have to do with industry, with transportation, such as electric vehicles, and solutions to make our buildings more energy efficient, so that we're sending up fewer greenhouse gases in that area as well. Now, is it too late to address the climate crisis? Well, I think it's never too late to work to improve life on Earth for all. That includes all humans, all life on Earth. It's never too late. So we are already seeing the effects of climate change. It's not something in the future. We all, if we look at the news or read newspapers, we see the effects of climate change. I live in California. We have wildfires every year now. The smoke is blowing across the country all the way to the East Coast. So I think this is not a future problem. We are already seeing the effects. So yes, it's too late to turn it around on a dime and not have any of these problems. We are going to have to adapt to these problems that we're seeing, but at the same time, we need to address the causes to keep the problem from getting worse. So what we need to do is address these greenhouse gas emissions. So I'm focusing on that in particular because the greenhouse gas emissions are the cause of climate change. And as I want to distinguish it from other environmental solutions that we can work on that help us with other problems. But what we're focused on here at Project Drawdown is solutions that affect the concentrations of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Now, if we continue our current rate of emissions, what's called business as usual, then greenhouse gases will continue to rise and we'll experience more severe effects of climate change. But if we pursue all climate solutions that are currently proven, it's possible, according to Project Drawdown's analysis, so we've had a team of researchers and experts working since 2015 to analyze the potential of climate solutions to work toward reversing global warming or slowing it. So our analysis shows that if we pursue all climate solutions, that it's possible to reach the point of drawdown by the mid-2060s. Now, if under our scenario 2, if we adopt all climate solutions quickly and boldly, we can reach drawdown within the next 25 years. Now, this will not be a simple task. We, as a human family, need to make bold and sweeping changes to the way we live, the way we do business all over the world. and especially in the United States, which has long been one of the highest emitters of greenhouse gases. And so as we make these changes, we'll continue to experience the effects of climate change because it takes a while for the gases that are currently in the atmosphere to diminish and for the effects to begin to slow. Now, what hope can we have? Well, I'll share a bit about how I see it. So we're not starting from scratch. There are climate solutions that are already progressing. So we've seen progress in shifting electricity production from fossil fuels to renewable energy that produces fewer emissions. So for example, coal in the US has been on the decline since its peak in 2007. While renewable energy has been on the rise. So we've also seen growth of so I'll give some examples of some of the climate solutions that are included in Project Drawdown's analysis. So we've seen growth of electricity production from solar panels, which is one of the Drawdown solutions. In the last decade, solar has experienced an average annual growth rate of 42%. So this solution is scaling quickly. Global wind energy capacity rose 90% since 1999. And the world's total renewable energy capacity rose 45% in 2020. So there's also an important social justice benefit from renewable energy. Electricity generated from sun and wind is free of the highly toxic pollutants and carcinogens that are emitted from oil and gas plants. So this shift to renewable energy is a necessary change, not just for climate change, but for the 15 million Americans who live within a mile of an oil or gas facility. And the data and studies have shown that these polluting facilities tend to be located in Black communities. So not just low-income communities, which they are, but particularly Black communities are most affected from the siting of these facilities. So this is something that we have to address, as Dr. Jenkins pointed out, not just for addressing climate change, but also for addressing social justice. Now, supporting land sinks can also support social justice by benefiting human health. So there are two very powerful climate solutions identified by Project Drawdown that have to do with our food. So these two solutions are shifting to plant-rich diets and reducing food waste. And these are powerful climate solutions that focus on nutrition and food security for all humans. Now, these solutions will shift the world from cutting down forests to grow food for cattle, and will prioritize growing healthy plant-based food for a greater number of people. Now, there's no short-term easy fix for the climate crisis. We need to approach it from every angle, shaping culture, building power, setting goals, altering rules and policy, shifting capital, changing behavior, and improving technology. But the good news is that solutions already exist, and none of us has to do it alone. Now, more than ever, we have to rely on our natural human tendency to come together with others to solve the problems that are most important to our daily lives. And in the process, we can solve a global crisis.
Wonderful.
So that's
wonderful. And you definitely did address the questions that I posed to you before your presentation on social justice and the timetable. So we are just happy that Project Drawdown is giving us a roadmap. And that's what's so exciting about the work that Project Drawdown has been doing since 2015. And I had read about it was founded actually in 2014. So, I mean, you guys have, you've done a lot of work. You've assembled a lot of researchers around the globe. And so you all are helping us to have hope in the future. And so that's what I really found out in talking with Crystal Chissell, was that her perspective is a perspective that we will achieve the goal. And so even though we know all of this information, and that's the whole perspective of Project Drawdown, because after you are inundated with so much negative news, you have to not become paralyzed, and you have to believe that you can achieve. And so when I'm talking with people that are resourceful, they've done the homework, they've done the research, they have all of the models in place, and they can actually predict in 2025, or you were saying, in 25 years, you think that if we went with scenario number 2, we could start to see the actual point where we would have year-to-year decline in the amount of greenhouse gases, and we will see the climate being able to heal itself. So, I mean, we're hopeful. And the other big point that I think that you make that I'm so excited about is that none of us can do this alone, that we have to really work within groups and within networks. We have to do something. So don't feel discouraged that nothing is happening. You be a part of the solution, be the change. And so each of us can do our part. And just by participating in our program today, you have raised awareness of our climate concerns. And to give us more hope, we want to introduce you to the 2021 National Climate Student Essayist, Patrick Cannon. And so we're continuing this trajectory of hope. And so I want to just share some information here. And I'll just bring this up for you to see. Okay, and let me bring this up. Okay, here we are. So, I want you all to just get an idea of how we found out about Patrick Cannon. And so we're going to bring this screen up for you. Let me just bring it up here. We should have it here. Okay. In May of this year was the deadline for the National Climate Student Competition that we announced as a nonprofit organization, Books Motivate Foundation. We have been having this program now for 3 years, and by the end of May, we received submissions from across the country. And the submissions, we basically sent out information about the competition to all 50 states. We reached out to science teacher associations through our networks and through media and press releases, as well as the District of Columbia and the US territories. And out of all of the submissions that we received by the date, we then compiled them, and they went through a rigorous process of screening and adjudication with our scientists and our community leaders. After the completion of the process, we found out that Patrick Cannon was the award winner. So we notified Patrick, and so we're so delighted that he is here with us today to share with us a reading of his award-winning essay. And Patrick, you can just introduce yourself. Also, he is from the High School for the Creative and Performing Arts, and that's located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And he can tell us about, I think, I'm not exactly sure about what grade he is in now, because so he can talk to us a little bit about what he's doing, and also how he found out about the climate science competition. And so we can just hear from Patrick.
Yeah, I attend the Philadelphia High School for Creative and Performing Arts, and I'm going into 11th grade this year.
Great. Awesome.
And I found out about the competition from Miss Lannutti.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, and we're going to hear from Miss Lannutti as well. So Patrick, why don't you start out and just provide us with more inspiration here we want to hear from you. And you can go ahead and share your essay with us.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Look closely at nature. Every species is a masterpiece, exquisitely adapted to the particular environment in which it has survived. Who are we to destroy or even diminish biodiversity? E.O. Wilson. Climate change is a global issue, different forms of life throughout our planet. It can be connected to various issues such as global warming, rising sea levels, social justice issues, and a multitude of more. It has substantial impact on our planet's functions in several ways. Amongst these issues, biodiversity loss poses a threat to all life, being a huge issue affecting our planet on a wide scale. Unfortunately, looking at the interest of our planet has become politically corrupt, leaving the future unknown. We are facing a huge climate crisis worldwide. Biodiversity is extremely ecologically important for species in an ecosystem. Biodiversity is the different biotic factors represented by the variety of life in an ecosystem. In ecosystems, everything is interconnected. This is supported by the diversity stability theory. Within recovery from natural disasters, climate stability, ecosystem productivity, and more, studies have shown from the University of Michigan's Sustainability Department demonstrating that biodiversity affects ecosystems as those comparable to global warming or air pollution. This means the adverse effects of biodiversity loss are something that needs to be addressed adequately that will effectively influence action. Biodiversity also is beneficial to humans. Biodiverse ecosystems have numerous positive benefits, such as providing food, producing oxygen, cleaning water, and controlling disease. Protection of these ecosystems that are enriched with life and provide so much for humans needs to be prioritized. Pennsylvania is no exception to the tragic loss of biodiversity throughout the world. It is known that more than 25,000 native species throughout the state are dealing with difficulties due to climate change to survive. Some of these vulnerable animals includes 2/3 of bird species inhabiting the state. This includes the Pennsylvania state bird, the ruffed grouse. Environmental issues globally and within the United States are interconnected. Biodiversity loss is commonly due to the different aspects of climate change, including deforestation, global warming, and exploitation of natural resources. Each of these is due to human impact. According to Jim Bonner, the executive director of the Audubon Society of Western Pennsylvania, birds prefer cool environments. Unfortunately, due to the greenhouse gas emissions causing global temperatures to rise higher than ever before, these birds are facing a dangerous future. What is being done about biodiversity loss in Pennsylvania? There has been a lack of focus on both the effects of climate change and biodiversity loss throughout the state. Policymakers play a huge part in this, as they commonly are deciding to ignore the impacts environmental issues have. The Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources is an effective work focused on conservation loss through biodiversity management, their wildlife conservation program, and Pennsylvania Natural Heritage Program. These programs finance research, conduct inventories regarding conservation work, and conduct management activities. While they effectively use adaptation to manage the damage of climate change, little climate mitigation remains to be made globally. Climate mitigation is focusing on limiting climate change and rising greenhouse gas emissions. To effectively stop climate change and prevent biodiversity loss, we need substantial change. Laws that regulate different environmental impacts throughout the planet need to be made. This includes laws prohibiting the destruction of biodiverse forests, limiting greenhouse gas emissions, and more. To efficiently combat climate change, I believe we as a nation must turn to renewable energy. From the endangered polar bears in the Arctic to the corals in the Great Barrier Reef that are becoming deceased, and even to the Pennsylvania state bird facing endangerment, biodiversity loss is a climate emergency. There needs to be a focus on biodiversity as its drivers of climate change. Without major changes, the future of full biodiversity isn't bright. I strongly believe we need a collaboration of both individual efforts and policy changes to effectively address biodiversity loss. As individuals, some things we can do to promote the protection of species are growing a garden, conserving water use, buying produce locally, and protecting endangered species that are local to you. Another way to take action is by reaching out to policymakers, forcing your consensual policy creations, but one of the most effective ways for you to have impact is through activism. Generation Z can be the generation to influence the prospective changes for the environment. The events that will occur if climate action doesn't take place will largely impact our future, which means climate action and the protection of biodiversity is insanely important for our generation, and our biggest weapon is getting our voices heard. In conclusion, biodiversity loss is a detrimental occurrence globally that needs to be addressed on a wide scale throughout the world.
Wonderful. Bravo, Patrick, an aspiring Philly scholar. Glad to come from the same city. So yeah, so that is exciting that Professor Jenkins also is from Philadelphia. And so we also want to thank tremendously Kelly Lannutti, because she was the one who introduced you to the competition and inspired you. So Kelly, would you like to say a word to us today, because just on how you found out, because we're always trying to find out about our wonderful science teachers and to find out their experience in working with students on environmental science issues. So if you could just share with us for a moment about how you found out about the climate competition.
Sure. My name is Kelly Lannutti. I'm an environmental science teacher at Kappa, the High School for Creative and Performing Arts in Philadelphia. We have an amazing science curriculum department. And then we have a separate department, which is known as Green Futures. And I just want to share their mission statement with you. I'm going to read it. It's a sustainability plan with 5 guiding principles: efficiencies, engagement, equity, environment, and education. And this is a group of people that's housed within our school district that work to pull all of those 5 things together. And they're actually who shared the contest information with the Science Curriculum Office, which sent it out to all of the science teachers. And I teach 9th graders only. I didn't have the pleasure of teaching Patrick, but we came to know each other when he volunteered to be a part of a few programs through the Franklin Institute, which is a world science museum in the city of Philadelphia. He was chosen to be a youth representative on their Climate Action Council. And then he is one of a team of people that participated in their Youth Climate Action Summit and put together an action plan for our school. So he's a founding member of what we're calling right now the Climate Action Club at Kappa. They took the work that they did in the Climate Summit and they submitted it with a little bit of tweaking, but it was really the essence of the work that they did to Exelon. And they were awarded a grant that is going to get some of their action steps off the ground at Kappa this year. So we're very excited about all of that. And I do a lot of things at Kappa. I teach science, but I also get to know the students from their admissions applications all the way through graduation, helping out with a lot of different things in the main office. So it's through pushing this information out to Patrick and him responding and asking for me to sponsor him in his essay submittal that I got to know him, and that's how this all came to be.
Wonderful. And we are so delighted to have the excellence that is really demonstrated by your efforts. Kelly Lannutti, I mean, it's just awesome to have you and to applaud you. So we can give you a virtual applause, and Patrick, at the same time, we want to applaud both of you for the excellence that you have shown in working towards the goals of saving our planet. And it is just, it's not hyperbole. It is absolutely true that we have been able to raise awareness, to voice our concerns, and to share this with the world. We will have a video out, and so we'll be sharing this information for years to come. And so now we're going to finish up our presentation with our awards. And so I'm going to share my screen here and talk to you about the awards that we will be providing. And let's see. Oh, yeah. So the awards we have right now, the 2020 National Climate Student Essayist Award is presented to Patrick Cannon, who is a junior this year with the High School for Creative and Performing Arts. And we want to give him a virtual applause. And also, he will have his essay featured on the Books Motivate Foundation website, Climate Media, and also on our YouTube channel, so that people can be inspired by his work for years to come as the 2021 National Climate Student Essayist. And so he will also receive a monetary award from Books Motivate Foundation based on our individual supporters of our organization who are concerned and want our young people to receive awards for their work. So he will be receiving that as well. So we're just so delighted for him. And so that definitely will be there for you as well. And so we thank you so much. And also we want to give an applause to Kelly Lannutti, who is the Science Department Chairperson. And And so she's done so many things, as we can tell, and we're just so delighted that she's with us and that she will receive an award also from us. So we give a virtual applause to her. And also, we are awarding the 2021 Books Motivate Volunteer Award to Jennifer Schilz, who has worked with us throughout 2021. And she has a master's in sustainability development, database technology, and software engineering. We want to thank her for her service to us. And also a 2021 Books Motivate Community Service Award to Chissell and to Gregory S. Jenkins. So they will receive their award also. So everyone, we thank you so much for your attendance, and we congratulate all of our 2021 reception of climate champions. And we do have closing remarks and climate media and finance recommendations. And then we'll give you just one or two of those, and then our meeting will be concluded. So Chet Sisk, I'm going to see if he is, we hope that he is here, and I'm just going to look at our participant list and see if I see Chet Sisk. And because he has been working with us over the year, and he's based in Colorado. And let's see if I see it's Chat Sis. If you're here, you can just post in the box here. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I don't see Chat Sisk here. Okay, but I will go ahead and just close the program and just give you a little bit more information here. Okay, now Chat Sisk, he is an author, and he is the founder of Universal Basic Resources. And as I said, they're located in the state of Colorado, and they do a lot of work with community groups, and they are really setting a standard for climate solutions on a local and state level that they want to be replicated throughout the country. So definitely you can visit the website chatsis.com, and you can know about the Universal Basic Resources initiative. And it's important that we take this information and apply it at the local and state level, as well as national and global levels. So that would be a finance recommendation as well. He works a lot with media, and he works with helping different organizations and individuals get funding and for their work. And that is also the recommendation that we wanted to share with you about the Mosaic Momentum, which is a $6 million fund, and it's a national grant-making initiative. And right now they have a current request for proposals that's going on throughout September. So if you need money to fund your dreams in terms of climate work, you can reach out to mosaicmomentum.org to strengthen the movement toward infrastructure that supports people working to ensure clean air and water, a safe climate, healthy and just communities for all, and thriving natural systems. And the Governance Assembly is fiscally sponsored project of Tides Center, and it's led by a diverse constellation of environmental and justice leaders. And we know a lot of these groups, we've worked with them over the years: Earth Justice, Climate Justice Alliance, National Wildlife Federation, NAACP, the Natural Resources Defense Council, Sierra Club, Asian Pacific Environmental Network, and more. So on behalf of the organization Books Motivate Foundation, we really thank you for your participation today and just for your awareness of the mission. And our mission remains to be committed to the enhancement and achievement of American and international knowledge and culture by promoting the development of literacy, career, and quality of life goal attainments for students, individuals, and families. And our work with partners rewards excellence through educational initiatives, programs, book publication, and events in local, national, international communities through the advancement and appreciation of science and the arts. Thank you for your attendance for the 2020 Reception of Champions Climate Awards. Thank you, everyone. And we're so delighted that we've had this wonderful opportunity to share with you. And we hope to continue now and in the future. We will be in touch and contact with you. You'll hear from us soon. So just continue the efforts that everyone's making. And I feel like it really has been a wonderful event. So if you think so too, you could just share your thoughts in the comments. And I think that the flow is just so encouraging. I mean, even though we had to go through all of the information on the research that is not always positive, but we do have one another. And I think that is the important message that we're taking as we go forward, that we don't have to do this alone. And so please just continue to work together as a network of communities and set the standards high. And I see that that is exactly what's been happening. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of our program. Okay.